It's become pretty mainstream knowledge at this point that eating more protein can really help you achieve a fat loss goal. Protein helps you feel full and satisfied. It helps to shut off cravings. It also reduces hunger and helps prevent your metabolism from crashing during the fat loss process. And although it is a great tool, a lot of people are just not really getting the maximum potential they really could out of using protein. So today I'm sharing 3 things that the experts do with their protein intake in order to easily lose fat without having to count calories. Let's dive into it. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's in nutrition and human performance. And today's video is sponsored by Element. More on them in a bit. Okay, the first thing that the experts do is they eat a lot more protein than you really think that you need to. Losing fat while keeping muscle is like the holy grail of fat loss. That's because when we keep muscle while losing fat, we're actually prioritizing the thing that we're really looking to lose, which is body fat. So you get an improved body composition, you look more toned, you look more strong. But on top of that, you also keep your metabolism, and in some circumstances, you also raise your metabolism even after losing weight. Plus, just having muscle after the fat loss process helps you to maintain vitality and health long term. And typical weight loss can result in 30% of the weight coming from muscle, which is a huge problem. And one of the reasons why this can happen is that people are just not eating anywhere close to the amount of protein they need in order to hold on to muscle during that fat loss process. And one study showed this perfectly. They compared a group of people resistance training with either a lower protein intake or a high protein intake. The lower protein group used 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which is still like 50% more than what the average person is eating. And then the high protein group used about 2.4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That's a little bit over 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And they're all performing the same structured workout routine. It was 6 days of training that was structured by the researchers. It had a mix of strength training and HIIT and cardio. The study participants also had to hit a minimum of 10,000 steps per day. So these people were very, very active. Now, what's interesting is that both groups lost fat, but the higher protein group, even though they're doing the same exercise, even though they're eating the same amount, actually lost more fat. The higher protein group also gained muscle while losing fat, which most people would say that is impossible, which this study found that it is obviously very possible. Now, the lower protein group still maintain their muscle mass, which is so much better than most weight loss results. Either way, maintaining or increasing muscle during the fat loss process is very, very important. And this study showed that when you pair higher intakes of protein, much higher than what most people think that they should be getting, with resistance training and exercise, you actually can see those results of losing fat while keeping or increasing your muscle mass, ultimately putting you in a state of better body composition, better strength, and even a higher metabolism. Now, the problem is that most people are not even hitting the bare minimum amount of protein they need. In fact, 42% of older adults aren't even hitting 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which is even lower than that low protein group. And it's often because a lot of people just have no idea how much protein they're eating, which is why the second thing that experts do is so important. But before we get into that, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Element. Element is an amazing electrolyte company that was specifically created with intermittent fasting athletes and whole food eating in mind. It actually contains the sodium, magnesium, and potassium to help balance out electrolyte levels, all without having any sugar. I personally been using Element for years. I think it's been like 3 or more years at this point. I take at least 1 packet every single day, and I find that when I'm using Element, I am so much more consistent with taking my electrolytes. As a nutritionist, I know the importance of electrolytes. I know how important it is for my energy levels, for fluid balance, for so many things within my body to feel great. But before, when I was just taking like salt, I was not consistent with it because it didn't taste good. Element tastes so good, and that is one of the reasons why I love it so much, because I'm actually able to consistently take it. My all-time favorite flavor is their grapefruit salt, but they have a lot of other delicious flavors too, like their orange, citrus, and raspberry. And right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serve packets free with any Element order. It's a really great way to test out all 8 flavors, so you can get yours at drinkelement.com/autumn. This is only available through my link, so make sure to check out drinklmnt.com/autumn. The link is also in the description down below. Okay, the second thing that experts do that most people don't is actually knowing how much protein they're eating. Most people think they're eating a lot more protein than they really are. I see this all the time with clients when I meet with them one-on-one. They think they're eating a lot of protein, then we go through what they're actually eating. They're usually eating like a quarter to a half of what they thought they were, which could put you at that lower lower protein intake and make it so you're not going to see any of those benefits from eating more protein. Now, I'm not a fan of tracking. I'm not a fan of weighing food. However, there's absolutely value in weighing your proteins a couple of times so that you can just get a mental picture of what it looks like to eat enough protein and then eyeball it from there. But before you even do that, you need to first know how much you need to eat per day because the amount everybody needs will vary a lot. A lot of people can get by having about 30 grams of complete protein per meal if you're having a 3-meal structure. However, if you want to get a little bit more specific, a little bit more nitty-gritty, there is a calculation that you can do to see exactly how much protein you need every single day. It factors in your activity level as well as your weight and height. If you don't want to do that math, I do have a free protein calculator on my website. I'll have it linked down in the description below so you can check it out. I'll also have the link to it pop up right here. I'll have it just like hover here for a second so that you can type it into your browser and go check it out because it is a very fast and easy resource to actually break down how much protein you need every single day. Okay, now once you know that number, now you actually need to see how much protein is in your food. The best protein sources are going to be coming from mostly animal-based sources like fish, like meat, like chicken, eggs, dairy. There are some higher quality plant-based proteins that are more dense in protein like tempeh. I do have a full video where I break down like more specifics on each different type of protein, including plant-based and vegetarian ones. I'll have it linked right up here if you want to check that out. But what I recommend doing is actually taking out a kitchen scale like this one. This is just like a really cheap one from Amazon and just weighing a couple of your proteins a couple of times so you can get that mental picture. Now, typically most animal-based proteins like fish, chicken, beef, lamb, etc., you're going to get about 30 to 35 grams of complete protein with 4 ounces of cooked protein. I recommend weighing it cooked because that is how you're going to be eating it, and cooked will have a different result than raw. Now, 5 ounces of most animal-based cooked proteins will give you about 40 to 45 grams of complete protein. So let's just measure out those 2 measurements real quick so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so I just have some cooked chicken breast right here that we're going to weigh out both 4 and 5 ounces so you can see what the 4 and 5 ounces looks like. Now, whenever you go to use a scale, you want to turn it on, and then whatever you're weighing it on, you want to make sure that you're tearing it. So you're not accidentally weighing this and thinking it's part of your protein. So when you put it on here, you're going to click this button that says tear so that it goes to 0. So I'm going to make sure it is in ounces. I'm just going to add these on. So here we have 4 ounces of cooked chicken. People will think like, oh, I should have the palm of my hand. As you can see, this is a lot more than just your palm of your hand. This is a big, hefty handful of chicken. I can actually barely fit it in my hand, and I have kind of big hands. So now let's look at 5 ounces. Okay, here's 5 ounces. So again, this is, I'm not even able to pick it up all in one hand. This is a lot more, like things are falling out. This is a lot more than just like the palm of your hand. So that whole concept of just like using the palm of your hand clearly like is not very accurate. You want to weigh it a couple of times so you can see how it looks and then be able to eyeball it from there. Okay, the third thing that experts do is that they pair their protein with intermittent fasting. Now, multiple studies have shown that higher protein intakes with intermittent fasting is much better than just intermittent fasting alone when it comes to achieving a fat loss goal. Studies have also shown that higher protein with intermittent fasting has performed better than the standard heart-healthy low-calorie diet for fat loss, for reduced visceral fat, which is weight gain around the belly, as well as for maintaining lean mass, aka muscle mass. Now, the huge thing to note is that there are a lot of different ways to use intermittent fasting. Some are much better than others. There's alternate day fasting, which I am not a fan of. This is where you'll not fast for some days and then you'll fast completely for others. So usually it's like 5 days of no fasting and fasting for 2 days. Another is the extended fast, which is where you might go like 3 days or longer without eating. And then what I personally use and recommend is the time restricted eating. This is where you're actually eating every single day and you're eating enough for your body's needs, especially eating enough protein every day to get those protein benefits, but you're just eating it during a shorter period of time. This is so much better for circadian rhythms. It's so much better for actually getting in your daily nutritional needs, especially for getting in protein every day, which as we've seen is so important for all of these weight loss and health benefits. And for most people, it's so much easier to integrate because it actually matches their lifestyle. You can actually still, and I recommend still maintaining a 3-meal structure of breakfast or breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In fact, this is what I've always done. This is what I recommend in my 21-day intermittent fasting program. You're just eating it again during that smaller period of time. So rather than having it stretched throughout the day and then also probably having snacks throughout the day too, where you're eating all throughout the day. You're eating it during like an 8 or a 10 or possibly even a 12-hour eating window. I personally used a 14-hour intermittent fast during my postpartum 20-pound weight loss journey paired with this higher protein eating. And I was able to see amazing results and I felt great and I wasn't hungry during that whole weight loss process. So if you want to check out exactly what I did to achieve that 20-pound weight loss goal without feeling hungry, you can find that with this video right here. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in and I'll see you in my next video.